Hello, everybody. It's Andrea Black here again with another episode of my podcast. Today's episode is something that's very real. I mean, I always keep it real, but today I'm really keeping it real. I actually asked if anyone had any ideas or suggestions about what they would like my next podcast to be about. And my friend Christy said that she would like me to do one about parenting. And so I've always wanted to do a podcast about parenting, but what held me back is that it's just such a sensitive topic because there are so many different types of people. There are so many different types of parents out there. There are so many different types of children. And so anything that I talk about related to parenting is not like, this is what you should do to make sure your child does X, Y, or Z. Because I know from experience that what works for one kid doesn't work for another. What works for one kid on one day will not work for the same kid the next day. And so I'm not here to judge or give any parenting advice on how to parent your child. I'm more so going to talk about experiences that I've had and things that I feel are very important for parents, especially mothers, since I'm a mother, that's what I relate to the most. So experiences that I've had that I think other mothers can relate to, but also dads as well, but maybe not so much. So there are so many different ways that I could go with this topic. I'm sure I'll have more episodes on parenting, maybe not consecutive episodes, but there are just a lot of different subtopics within this topic. And thanks to Christy's suggestion, I decided, you know what, I will make a podcast because, like I said before, I was hesitant to because it can be a sensitive topic and I don't want people to think I'm telling them what to do with their kids because I'm not. Today's topic is how to make sure that you don't lose yourself in parenting. And if you do, how can you get yourself back? So, side note, since we're on the whole thing about keeping it real, my cycle, I know it might be TMI, kicked my ass this month. So I had this huge zit that has made my whole face swollen, and it's been here for a while. I know, of course, you're not supposed to pop them, but I tried really hard not to pop it, and then I did, and it was just so satisfying. And then I got another zit right next door. And so I had to pop that one too. And when I popped that one, it reopened this one. Lots of blood, lots of swelling. Makeup can't even hide it. I mean, I'm just breaking out everywhere. It doesn't always happen to me, but this month it was bad. But to, save you guys from too much horror, I put on some makeup. I'm wearing a shirt that says I can and I will. I like this shirt because it makes me feel motivated, sometimes for big things, sometimes for stupid things. Like for me, this shirt means I can and I will go grocery shopping after I record this podcast. I love making grocery lists because I like to meal plan and have it all organized by, this section and this section. So first I'm going to stop by the produce. And I know where all of the produce is in the produce section until they rearrange it, which actually they do that like once a month. But right now I know where it is, I think. So I put everything in order and then I move on to the next section, put everything in order. And so when I'm walking through the store, checking things off my list on my watch, I feel like, really accomplished because I had them all in the right order. And I won't forget anything. So making the list is really fun. But when it comes to like actually going shopping, unless it's like 2 in the morning and I get like this burst of energy because I have insomnia. Um, and then I can't go shopping. But then when I actually can go shopping at a reasonable time, I don't want to. So I don't know. Right now, I really don't want to, but I'm going to just look at my shirt and remind myself I can and I will and I should, because there's not much to eat in my house. So that was my keeping it real side note. Back to the actual topic for today. So I know that everyone has a different experience with pregnancy and postpartum and parenting. Personally, I have 2 children, an almost 4-year-old and a 15-month-old. Both pregnancies, they sucked. So I would hear people telling me like how beautiful it is and you just like you glow and it's just an amazing experience and all that stuff. And I was so excited. And I did glow because I sweat a lot and I threw up a lot. And so it was just like constant sweat. Did I feel amazing? No. So like with my first pregnancy with my son, I felt nauseous for the first 12 weeks. I was pretty depressed. I have depression anyway. No, just keeping it real. So that previous depression plus prenatal depression on top of that, not a good time. Anxiety as well. And yeah, so I would hear people telling me, like, I loved my pregnancy. Like, it was awesome. And I asked them, like, okay, did you have any symptoms? No. Well, no shit. If I didn't have symptoms either, I would have loved my pregnancies too. Like, that's great. I'm so happy for you that you had a really easy pregnancy. Not my situation. So I'm not going to feel bad to say that it felt like shit. Back pain to the max, could barely walk, sciatica. Every time I got out of bed, it felt like the whole, down there area was just like a huge muscle just pulled. Just every step I took, it was so painful. My pelvic floor was just excruciatingly painful. I'm also a stomach sleeper. I'm also a bad sleeper. So me not being able to sleep on my stomach, awful, torture, miserable. And I could go on and on and on. I am someone who likes to be physically active. It helps with my mental health a lot. I do like it for the physical benefits, of course, as well. But my first pregnancy, I was able to work out after my nausea subsided. Of course, I couldn't do the super hard workouts I did previously before my pregnancy, but I was still able to work out, and that helped a lot. Second pregnancy, I think I threw up at least once every day the whole way through. I could not exercise. I could barely walk. Going up and down the stairs, I was just out of breath and in so much pain. I would get Charlie horses in my feet and in my calves just from standing there. I would be so upset because I'm just like laying in a bathtub. I hate baths. And I would just be laying in a tub of hot water because that's all that kind of took off the edge and the pain from the Charlie horses and from my just aching body. And I would sit there and cry because, one, it hurt. And two, I hated not being able to be fit and not even be able to walk. And let me tell you, being pregnant with a toddler, whole other ball game. It's hard. It's hard because they don't care. They have so much unending energy, and I just didn't. And so, yeah, they also don't understand, like, don't hit mommy's belly. Don't kick it. Don't jump on it. Please stop poking it. They just don't understand that. So it was very difficult. I felt bad that I couldn't always cook because I would throw up at the sight of raw meat. I didn't even want to eat much, but I gained a ton of weight because the only thing I could stomach, it was like I had a hangover. The only thing that I could keep down was greasy, salty, fatty food. I love healthy food normally, and I love unhealthy food normally too, but I try to limit that. But when I was pregnant with my daughter, that's all I could eat. And so I gained so much weight. Also, I was extremely depressed and, like I said, couldn't work out, gained so much weight. I cannot believe what I weighed prior to giving birth. Maybe one day I'll tell you it was high. And I'm actually really proud because it was hard for me to lose weight postpartum with my second kid while I was breastfeeding and everything. But now that after I stopped breastfeeding and now that she's over 1, I've really been working on it and it's finally starting to work. But maybe that could be a different topic for another podcast. But all this to say that if you do not have a child, or if you have never been pregnant and like you would like to become pregnant, if there are a lot of people telling you how magical it is, yes, that's true in some ways, because feeling the baby kick is so cool. And just knowing that you have something growing inside of you and depending on you, and you can see it sometimes too moving, and that's just really cool. Going to the doctor, seeing it on the ultrasound, hearing the heartbeat, all of that is super cool. But there's a lot of other things that aren't so fun if you have these sorts of symptoms that I had. So today I want to talk about something that happens to a lot of women, but I don't think it is talked about enough because, well, it's related to mental health. And I know we're working as like a whole community to end the stigma about mental health, but I think it's something that's not talked about a lot because mothers are expected to I feel like there's this expectation to just, because it is something that their body naturally can do, carrying a child and giving birth, there's this expectation or perception that it is easy and that if it is hard, they're just complaining to complain or get attention. I don't know. But just because it's something that your body is equipped to do and was meant to do does not mean that it is easy. And it does not mean that you feel confident the whole time. I was terrified for a lot of it, just especially with my first pregnancy, just the thought of giving birth, I would have panic attacks. Because obviously I knew I would have to get through it somehow, but the thought of it just terrified me. So just because, I just want to put this out there, just because if you're a woman watching this and you would like to have a baby or you have had a baby and it was a tough experience for you, it's okay. Just because you're a woman and we're built for this, it's okay if you struggled mentally, physically. It's okay. You're still a warrior. You're still a badass. It's hard. It is so hard to go through it. So today I'm going to focus on the mental aspect of it. Like I said in the beginning, anything I say, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but there are different types of women. There are the women who their biggest dream in life is to become a mother and they want to devote their entire life and all of their time, all their whole day and night to their children, just being there when, whenever they need. They want to be a stay-at-home mom. It is just their biggest goal in life. And that's amazing. If that is what you want, that is amazing. I'm not knocking that at all. But there are other women, and I fall into this category, and I want to word this carefully because I feel like women in this category that I'm in are afraid to admit this because it makes it seem like they don't love their kids or they don't want to be a mother, but that's not the case at all. So the type of person that I am, and that a lot of women are, they want to be a mother. Like it's definitely a dream of theirs, but it is not their entire personality. It is not their only goal. It is not all they want to do all day long. So, like for me, for instance, I have a lot of personal and career goals. Like I love to be productive and I like to work. I like to spend time with, other adults. And then I also like to spend time with my kids and be a mother. But I don't want to do that all the time. I want to do other things. And it took me a while to admit this. And when I did first admit it, I felt ashamed. When I was at home with my son on maternity leave, I was so miserable. Like, it's almost bringing tears to my eyes. I felt terrible for feeling that way. There's the sleep deprivation, of course, getting up all the time, having no schedule. That definitely adds some element of the misery. But besides that, I'm sorry if you can hear my humongous cat walking around. It's just like sometimes I hear her coming up or down the stairs and I'm not sure if it's her or my husband because she's just so big. So if you can hear her stomping around, I'm really sorry. No, do not come up here. You've had all day to be by me. So, I was miserable because it was my entire life being a mom. It was my entire purpose. I couldn't do anything else. Like before, I loved to exercise. I would love to go outside and be in nature. I'd love to read. I'd love to write, sing, do Spanish, work, all of this stuff. But when you have a newborn, it's not possible. Any free time that you have, you're going to want to, I know people say, sleep when the baby's sleeping. Yes, that's way easier said than done because at some point, the pile of dishes in the sink is going to smell. At some point, you have to do laundry. You have to clean up. You have to throw out the dirty diapers. You have to shower. You have to clean up yourself because after you give birth, it's just, it's a little messed up down there for a while. So you can't always just easily take a nap when baby is sleeping. Also, if your baby, like mine, sleeps for a half hour to an hour at a time, I hate that. I hate sleeping for that little of an amount of time and then having to get up again and then trying to sleep for 30 more minutes and then getting up again. That start and stop and me drifting off into this world of dreams and stuff and then having to wake up and be in a panic and hearing a baby crying and running and taking out my boob and feeding the baby and then I'll go back to sleep. I hate sleeping up. I hate all of the naps, all of those little cat naps. Hate that. And so for me, it wasn't just as easy as, okay, rest when the baby's resting. I I tried to do the things that I love to do during the time that the baby was sleeping, but again, it was just really hard because baby would wake up. I was so tired that I would start nodding off, but I didn't want to because I was like, I want to do something else besides sleep and then whip out my boob and change a diaper and dance around with my baby because he won't stop crying. He cried so much. Oh my God. Oh, still keeping it real. My dog won't shut up. Hold on. I'm so sorry. Luna, inside. Luna. Inside. I'm so sorry. Can you just leave it here? Thank you. Have a good day. Oh my goodness. They are good people, Luna. Oh. So, anyway. Yeah, I'm not even going to start this over, stop it, and edit it. This is real life. You know, as a mom, as a person, your animals are annoying as hell. So, the newborn stage, I wanted to crawl in a hole. I was so miserable. I would count down after my husband went back to work after his paternity leave. I would count down all day long until it was time for him to come home. And when he came home, I would be so excited, but there's still that looming thought of nighttime is coming. And my husband is going to go to sleep, but I'm going to have to be up with the baby because I'm breastfeeding, which is a wonderful thing. But it's just that looming thought of the darkness is coming and it's just going to be me again. And I'd panic and I'd get so much anxiety. So for a while, I thought it was just postpartum depression, and a huge component of it was. But I realized when I went back to work that it wasn't just postpartum depression, why I was so sad and just didn't feel like myself. And the reason I realized is because I am one of those types of people that needs to be doing other things. Like there's all these areas in my life. I like doing multiple things. I like to have my free time. I like to have my working time. I like to have my adult time, and I like to have my kid time. And so to have my entire world devoted to being a parent, it was a huge change for me, and it made me lose a sense of who I was. So when I went back to work, I would start to feel a little bit better, and I would love the time I had with my baby and with my family, and then I would love the time away where I could, be a productive adult. And then I loved my free time once he started to sleep longer and I could have more of a schedule. I liked my free time to be able to do my own thing. When I realized this, I felt horrible because I thought, does this mean that I just don't like my child? Because I do, but I just don't like to be in that parenting mode 24/7. And so I was really embarrassed and ashamed to ever say this out loud. But I became more and more miserable because I was trying so hard to be this upbeat mom all the time. Yay! Like, let's make food that, when he started to eat solids, make a bunch of baby food. And that was really fun. I enjoyed making baby food. And then after that, I make dinner and then, play house. I got to make dinner and then we clean up and then we put the baby to bed and we get stuff ready for the morning and then wake up early and feed the baby and then get stuff ready for work and then work. And I really was trying to enjoy every single aspect of this new life. And like I said, it did get easier when I was able to go back to work and sleep a little longer and do the other things I like. But that constant one thing after another, like you get up, you feed the baby, you get them ready, you take them to daycare, you go to work, stress at work, then you come right home. Well, you pick up the kid, then you come home, then you got to cook dinner and you got to feed the baby, and then you got to give the baby bath and you put the baby down, and then you have like an hour or two of time with your husband, and then you go to bed and you wake up and you repeat, and it's just over and over. And then the weekends, I found myself dreading the weekends. And I'm like, why? Again, questioning, why am I dreading the weekend so much? I don't like working that much. Like, what's happening? Then I realized it's because that meant a lot more time being a mother and constantly being tugged at, constantly, having to calm someone down. And it's just a lot. And for some moms, I don't know, maybe it doesn't bother them. The crying makes me, it hurts my heart. It must raise my blood pressure through the roof. I just know it. My heart rate goes through the roof. Anytime I hear my babies cry or anyone's baby cry, I just go, oh my God. Like that feeling never went away. And my husband would be like, it's okay, babies cry. And like, I know that. I know that. I learned that. I worked for WIC. Like I'm a lactation educator. Like I know all these things, and I would try to, listen to what he was saying and calm myself down and be like, it's okay. He's not crying because he's, dying. He's crying because he's just telling you he's uncomfortable. Something needs to change. He needs to change the diaper. He needs to eat, whatever. But still, hearing the sound of the crying, to this day, it hurts me. So yeah, I realized I was dreading the weekends because it meant more time that I had to be in this mother mode, and I felt so much pressure on myself to always be like a happy mom and to love every second of it. Well, it got to a point where I felt so guilty, but knew that these were my true feelings. I accepted it. I looked into it. I just Googled like not wanting to be a mom all the time, something like that. And I found a lot of articles from other moms who felt the same, and they were asking the same questions like, is anyone else extremely overwhelmed with being a mom and feels bad because they don't always want to be around their kid, and like they want to do other things but they can't, and it's just overstimulating, all this noise, and they just feel like they're living in Groundhog Day, like the same thing over and over again. And so, no. Stay. Telling my cat to stay like she cares. So seeing that other parents were saying the same things that I was saying and feeling, it made me feel a lot better. It made me feel that I wasn't alone and that I'm not the only mom who is wired this way. Like, it's okay to not want to be around your kid 24/7. It's okay to be overwhelmed by the noise. It's okay to want some time to yourself. It's okay to want to hang out with a friend. It's okay to be excited to go to work so you can get some grown-up time. It's okay to still carry on with the things that you did before, your hobbies, your passions. It's okay. And so that made me feel better, seeing that other moms felt the same way. But I did lose myself for a while. And I have heard a lot of other moms say the same thing, that they kind of lost their identity during pregnancy and postpartum because you're so devoted to this other human being that you've created. And there's also this pressure that they feel that this is how life is supposed to be. I am now a different person because of my baby. But just because you have a baby doesn't mean that you are an entirely different person. It doesn't mean that you are only a mom now. You are still all those other things that you were before you became a mom. But now you're a mom too. So if you are feeling a little bit lost, a little bit like you lost your identity, you're irritated all the time, you don't want to be around your kids all the time, but you feel guilty getting some free time, I understand. But please know that it's normal and that it's okay. And it doesn't mean you're a bad mom. It means that you're an adult that had a life and had things that they enjoyed before you got pregnant. And then that stuff just doesn't go away. That still makes up who you are. You can still be a great mom and have all of these other interests and hobbies. And as long as you're balancing it okay, it's okay. Like, I'm not saying that you should neglect your baby and, just do these other hobbies all the time. Not at all. And that's why at first I was hesitant to talk about this, because a lot of people take it like one extreme to the other. Well, if you're not tending to your child and, completely devoted to your child 24/7, then what kind of mom are you? Well, there's other people that can help. You can get a family member or a friend to babysit. A lot of people would love to do that while you go on a date with your husband. And it's just important to keep that stuff a part of you. In the beginning, postpartum, it's extremely difficult and might not be possible to incorporate any of the old things that you used to do into your life. But once that newborn stage ends, it's okay to be the person you were before you got pregnant and to be a mom too. You just have to figure out how to balance it. So like for me, I get up early. I think I mentioned this before. Doesn't always work. I try to get up around 4:30 or 5 so that I can do the things that I like to do that do not involve being a parent. I get to do Spanish. I get to work out. I get to sit in peace and drink coffee. I get to read. I get to just look on my phone without someone snatching my phone from me and getting their drool and their crumbs and their snot all over it. It just gives me time to be myself and fill those voids that were empty when I wasn't able to devote any time to non-parenting things, so that when the kids do get up, I am ready and more excited to be a mom. So that might be an option for you. Or if you prefer to stay up later after the kids are asleep to do these things that aren't parenting related, whatever works better for you. For me, I'm an early morning person. That's just how it works for me. So it's okay to do the things that you enjoyed before you were a parent, as long as they're not harming anyone, as long as you can still be a really good parent and, balance all these aspects of your life. It's okay. Next thing I'm going to talk about. It's okay to be completely annoyed with your child. This is something that I felt terrible about. And so my son is almost 4. He turns 4 in a couple of weeks. He's always been very sensitive, very emotional. He's going through something now. He does not listen to a word mommy and daddy say. And it makes me not enjoy being around him. People will tell me, "Oh, he's an angel. We had so much fun. He didn't throw any fits. I had the best time with him. He listened to everything. He ate all the food I made." And we'll just be like, "Mhm. Yeah, must be nice." Because as soon as we pick him up, screaming, crying, doesn't touch anything I make him, even though he asked me to make the exact thing I made. Doesn't want it. It's disgusting. Anything I ask him to do gives me attitude. I'll be like, "Hey, come over here so I can wipe your face." And then he'll be like, "I'm going to wipe your face, poopy diaper, monkey," just things that make no sense. And then he thinks it's hilarious, and it's just not. So perfect example. My husband and I went to Pittsburgh on Monday, a couple days ago, to see the Guardians play. Amazing game, by the way. We won 11-0. But it was so much fun. And now my animals are fighting. Just ignore each other, please. It's like children. They're like children. So in the past, when I would have a chance to get away for a day or even just a few hours, I would feel like, wow, this is nice, but I feel guilty that I'm having a good time and my kids aren't here. But I've come to the realization it's okay to get away. And it's okay to enjoy getting away. And I had the best time with my husband. We explored Pittsburgh. We had a great time at the game. We just relaxed. We ate good food. We drank good drinks. And I wasn't feeling guilty because I knew I was just recharging. I was doing things I enjoyed doing before I was pregnant. I love sports. I love just going on trips, and I can do that again. And then I knew that I was coming home the following day, and we had plenty of time to be parents again. So we come back from Pittsburgh. We go to pick up the kids from my husband's parents' house. And as soon as we step foot in their house, my son's name is Braden, he's all relaxed on a chair. And as soon as we walk in, poopy diaper, let's play a game. I'm a monster and I'm going to eat you. And I hate when he does that. And he's just jumping around, not listening to a word we say. We're asking him how, his sleepover was. It was great. And it's just like typical toddler stuff, okay? I get it. And then came the time where we had to leave, and he refused to come to the car. I had to pick him up and bring him to the car. Told him that since he didn't listen, he has a timeout when he gets home. Screams the entire way home. My 15-month-old is staring at him like, shut up. And we get home and get him out of the car. I'm starting to carry him to the house because I knew that he wouldn't listen and walk on his own. Put me down. I don't want you to hold me. Blah, blah, blah. I'm carrying him and all of this stuff in my hands. So I put him down for a second so I could put the other stuff down. He takes off. He's running down the sidewalk. I am just like, at this point, I'm feeling like I had my time away and I was so excited to see the kids again. And then this happens and I'm just like, this is why I wanted to get away in the first place. So I have to sprint after him. Bunch of neighbors are outside. It's a beautiful night. He's screaming, he's kicking me, he's hitting me. I'm just trying to run back. I'm so out of breath because I had to run pretty far. I am just like carrying him back and take him upstairs to his room. He is screaming and kicking the door, and we had to put the child lock back on his door because otherwise he'll just keep coming out. He is throwing everything in his room at the door. So, all of this being said, if you find yourself not being excited to hang out with your toddler, there's a reason. It's hard to want to hang out with someone who is constantly screaming in your face, not listening to a word you say, refusing to, eat the food you make, talking potty talk all the time, refusing to go to bed, throwing things, running away. I told him, I don't want you to be a leash kid, but if you keep doing this, you might be. And it's just no wonder there are times when you flat out, just straight up don't want to be around your kids. And it's okay to feel that way. There are still times where, he is so much fun and he's so sweet because he is a sweet kid. He is a fun kid. He is a good kid. But those impulses at that age and that attitude and that sass, it just takes over. And I know that's completely normal for a kid. But just because it's normal doesn't mean that it can't annoy you. So I was very excited for bedtime. And after the kids went to bed, I was just so when is our next trip? And that doesn't make you a bad mom or a bad parent to think that. And so if you felt like at some point during your parenting journey that you've lost a sense of who you were, or if you find yourself not always excited to be a parent, it's okay. I am here to tell you it is okay. It is completely normal. Toddlers especially can just suck the life out of you. They can suck the fun out of any moment. And then they're just so cute. And it's oh, I feel so bad for having been so annoyed with you and yelling at you and not wanting to be around you because now all of a sudden you're so cute. But remember, there is a reason that you were so annoyed. So obviously, we love our children. We would do anything for them. But it's okay to have these feelings. So thank you, Christy, for suggesting the topic of parenting. Now that I know that that's a topic that some people might want to listen to, I am going to have other episodes about other topics, subtopics of parenting. If you guys have any other suggestions, please let me know. I'd love to hear your ideas and what you guys want to hear because I create this content for you guys. So I want to know what you guys want to listen to. Today's episode was a lot about mental health through pregnancy and postpartum and parenting, and that it's okay to not always feel okay. And please talk to somebody about your feelings because keeping them bottled up and trying to be this perfect parent that just loves being a parent every single second of the day, it's just not realistic. So it's okay. You're still an amazing parent, and we can all relate. I'm here for you. I hope you enjoyed this. Please let me know what your thoughts are. If you can relate, I'd love to hear your feedback. Thank you for listening.